Hey guys, TLG here, and I figured I'd bring you another tutorial. This time we're going to be changing some eye color. There's actually two ways you can do it. Both involve the same couple steps, so I'll go to the first, no, I guess I'll zoom in really far, through the first couple steps, and then I will tell you when it splits off. The main deciding factor of which way you would want to do it would be with the eye color you're initially doing. If it's lighter, then you'll want the I don't know if it's actually easier, but I guess it would be kind of easier, but in my opinion it's kind of harder. So the lighter eye color you can do either way, but the darker eye color you should do the way I'm going to go through first. First off, you're going to want to go and zoom in as far as, well, not as far as you can, but zoom in really well. CS5 has a really great zoom. You want to select around the eye, and then you want to, from that selection, remove the pupil, because you don't want the pupil to be a different color other than black. That's, oh, no. Okay. Other than black, because that's kind of a deciding, that shows that the person who changed that eye color just kind of went. So once you select your eye color, you can zoom out. You can see that you have it selected. It doesn't need to be perfect. You're just basically going to select. If you do want to get nitpicky, you can go through and remove some of the harder corners off it. But you do have to remember, the closer you get, the more pixels you're going to zoom. I mean, the color you throw in there too will kind of bleed out of your selection slightly, not too badly, but we will deal with that in a little bit. First off, now we're on second step, but once you have your selection, you're going to, with a dark eye color, this is kind of where it switches. You can do a Control U. Oh, what are you doing? What are you thinking? All right, Control U. It'll bring up the hue and saturation. When you do, no, why did you unselect, you stupid? There we go. With the selection, you want to hit Control U. That'll bring up this hue and saturation. You want to click Colorize. Colorize is then going to colorize the picture. It's going to keep the detail in the picture. It's not going to completely cover it in like a paint, like if you've just painted it on. It's going to colorize it. You can play with the saturation and choose the eye color you want. Say you want them to have blue eyes. All right, we're going to give a brown-eyed girl right to blue eyes. So you go there. The saturation looks decent. You'll then click OK. If you're running CS5, you kind of want the grid off. You can turn it off, or you can just zoom out far enough so that it's off. Don't mind how it looks right now. We're zoomed in so far. Everything looks kind of blotchy. But once you get your eye color the way you want, then you want to go over here and look at your burn and dodge tools. Right now we're going to be doing some highlights. We're going to burn around the outer edge. If you look at an eye, it has a, oh really, what are you doing here? We're doing highlights, midtones. You have midtones and highlights. You want to burn the outer edge, because if you look at an eye, there's a dark ring around the outside of the eye that's kind of encasing the original eye color, which you can also see in the original when you have it. When you colorize it, it kind of gets a tiny tint to it. So if you just bring it back a little bit. Also, if you go around the pupil a little bit, if you look at an eye, it also has kind of, it's not really outer like a line circle, it's kind of pieces kind of darken out, and then you want to go over and get your dodge tool and play with it a little bit. Play with the midtones, the highlights, the shadows maybe. You don't want to do too much. Then when you zoom out and you unselect, you can see what you've done, going from this brown eye to now a blue-eyed girl. I mean, it's not the brightest blue. You can change and play with it. I'm just going quickly. And now we will show the other method for the bright-eyed lucky people of us who don't have brown eyes. The picture I'm using is actually a picture of my niece at a 4th of July event. But yeah, so that's my little, I think she's 3 now, 3, 4, 3, I don't even know. But we're going to then select around the eye again like we were before. When you get up towards the top, you want to be careful. You don't want to select what would be eyebrow, which is why, or not eyebrow, but eyelash, eyelid, which is why zooming in would help. If you're using the select tool, you can hold Alt. That will make it so you can remove from a selection. A lot of people are going to think, oh, I can just use the magnetic selector. But if you do that, it kind of goes up in, and that's when you get jagged lines, and it just creates more work for yourself. So it's not really something you want to do. Now, what you can do is create a new layer over on the right, and in that new layer, you can select a color you want it to kind of gradient. Right now, since we have, actually I'm going to go back and lighten her eye color a little bit, just so we can Okay, say she had really light blue eyes. It's lightness, saturation. No, it's not what I want. Okay, say she had light blue eyes, right? So then you want to take her eyes and add a, just for the heck of it, a purple tint. You go to a new layer, and in your selection, you're going to want to paint. You see how it looks blah, blah, terrible, but then you want to go and do in the colors, do like an overlay. We'll say overlay, and then you want to bring the opacity, how opaque it is on top of your picture down a little bit, and then when you zoom out, you can have a purplish blue-eye tinted girl. Like I said, the colorized way, if you use the Control U and hue and saturation, you colorize it, it's going to make it a lot easier to play with, but you have a wider selection of colors. If you can play with either direction, I mean, you can also mix them and match them, but it creates a nice little effect. I mean, going from the original with her brown eyes to now a blue and purple, it is kind of faded. I mean, you can play with it. Don't go as fast, don't rush yourself. You can turn out with a decent effect. This also works for hair color, but hair is a lot harder because of all the individual strands. You can get some forehead in there, and it just doesn't work. But if you're doing like a picture, like an anime drawing, and you want to colorize and change hair color and whatnot, and since their hair colors all kind of chop hair, you can select it and Control U it, and it'll colorize. But yeah, so it makes, what am I saying? It makes changing eye color a heck of a lot easier. And that's your tutorial for today. Alright, till the next one, TLG out.